Hello, we're going to start with the butterfly. So bring feet together, sit up nice and tall, and grab hold of your feet with your hands and use your arms to pull yourself straight, and then come forward until you just feel something. And let's hold it here. Okay, we're coming out of the butterfly, and let's take our legs right out in front of us. Straight legs, slight contraction in your quads, and walk the hands down again until you just feel something in the back of the legs. Let's bring the toes pointed up to the ceiling. As you inhale, come up out of that, and we're going to cross one ankle onto the opposite thigh and then bend that leg. The hands go behind, fingertips pointed toward you, and then open the chest up. So we're stretching the hips and we're stretching the upper body. Come out of that, and we're going to do the same thing on the other leg. So cross that other leg, ankle onto thigh, and then bend the knee. And this time, let's point our fingertips away from our body. And again, we're going to open and lift up the chest. Okay, let's come out of that. Now we're going to sit cross-legged, and it doesn't matter which foot you come up onto the opposite leg, but let's cross one foot on top of the leg and adjust yourself so that you're seated really straight up and down, abs pulled in, really tall through the chest, and then nice and easy as you exhale, let's come forward until you just start to feel something happening in the hips. And so once you're there, just hold it and breathe. Now as we inhale, let's come up and sit up nice and tall. And we're going to take one hand, it doesn't matter which one, and we're going to reach it down so that we're reaching towards the floor. And then away from that hand, we're going to take our head and bring ear to shoulder. And you can use your opposite hand for a little extra stretch in the neck if you want to. And you don't have to use your hand, but just be careful if you do, don't go overboard with the stretch. So you're reaching away with the opposite hand so that you can feel the stretch through your neck and through your shoulder. Come up, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So we're going to take the hand reaching down to the floor, and then nice and easy stretch over so the ear goes to the shoulder. And you can adjust how much pressure you put on the head to stretch the neck, and you can also kind of move your head until you feel a spot that needs extra stretch. Okay, let's come out of that. And then whichever foot is on top, we're going to turn towards that knee. So we're going to put the opposite hand on the knee and then twist all the way around, and make sure that we stay really tall. And you're going to twist until you just feel something. It should feel good, and then you can continue to look in that direction. Okay, good. Let's come out of that. Now we're going to take the foot and switch which foot is on top. And so we're going to start over on this other side. So sit up really tall. Okay, and then we're going to lean forward until we just feel a little bit of something happening through the hip. And then when we're here, we're going to relax and just breathe. Okay, let's come up on an inhale, sit up tall again, and then one arm is going to reach to the floor, and then the head goes over to the opposite side to get our neck. This is just what we did on the opposite side, same thing. Okay, and come up, and then we're going to switch to the other side. And then inhale and come up, and then the hand that is the opposite of the foot that's on top, we're going to reach to grab hold of the knee, and then with a very tall spine, let's twist. And then as you twist, just until you feel something happening, a good stretch, and continue to look in that direction so it gets your neck a little bit as well. It should feel really good. If it doesn't, then back off a little bit. As we inhale, let's come back to center, and then we're going to go into child's pose. So let's bring our feet flat on the yoga mat, toes touching each other, big toes touching, and knees are apart. And then we're going to come down into child's pose with our arms just relaxed in front of us. So elbows can flop down onto the yoga mat. Your head is resting on the mat as well. And we're just hanging out here and breathing. Now you're going to stay in the same position, except for you're going to pick your elbows up off of the yoga mat, and I want you to reach your arms as if you're trying to touch the top of the yoga mat. And let's put a little pressure into the hands so that we can take our elbows and turn them to the outside. like we're trying to go, point them to the outside walls, and that opens up the upper back, and almost like it feels like our shoulder blades are flattening. And hold it here, so just a slight pressure down through your palms. Now we're going to walk both arms over to one side, and it doesn't matter which side you choose, but let's walk both arms over to get a stretch on one side of the body. And now let's do the same thing on the other side. So walk both arms over to the opposite side. And we're still trying to get our elbows pointed out to the sides, opening up the chest and the upper back. Now let's take it back to center, and this time we're going to do thread the needle. So take one arm, it doesn't matter which one, and we're going to reach it underneath the opposite arm, palm facing up, and then just look in that direction too, so that we have a little bit of a twist, and you should feel that this stretches the back of the shoulder and a little bit of the arm. And now let's switch to the other arm. So the same thing, we're threading the needle, the arm goes underneath, and you're also looking in that direction. Okay, and let's come out of child's pose. So come out of that, and then we're just going to come up onto our knees, and then all the way onto the yoga mat, so that we're flat on our stomach. So we're going to stretch the quads next. So let's take one arm. It doesn't matter which side you start with first. We're going to take the arm so that we can rest our head on the arm, and then the other hand we're going to reach back and grab the foot and just bring it into the butt. And as you do that, this might be really challenging for you, and if it is, stay here. If you want a little bit more, press your hip into the floor and feel how that makes that stretch even more intense. But remember, it should not hurt. So just do until you feel something happening. Okay, let's switch to the other side. Now, as you do this, and if you find that it's really hard to grab your foot, you can just bend your knee and not grab your foot. Let's come out of that, and we're going to come up onto our elbows, and this is called up dog. So we're on our elbows and our palms are flat, and we're pushing ourselves up so that we're pushing down through the floor with our elbows and pushing ourselves straight so that we open the chest up. and we have a little bit of pressure on our hands, and then just a very slight squeeze through your glutes, just a little bit, and that's going to take the pressure off of the lower back. So we're just looking forward, just past the top of our yoga mat, and let's just hold it here and take a few breaths. Let's take one deep breath and exhale, and then we're just going to roll and come out of this, and we're going to go into our lunge. So you may need to have a pillow. I'm going to use a pillow for my knees. If you have sensitive knees, you might need to do this. So we're going to put one knee on the pillow or on the yoga mat, and then the opposite foot comes forward like we're doing a lunge, because that's what we're doing. So this leg and back is going to be slightly going behind at an angle. And then our hands are on our hips. We're going to have our hands on our hips. And this leg in front is straight out from the hip and then about a 90-degree angle. So we should feel pretty steady if our hands are on our hips. And let's make sure that the hips aren't tilted back. They're forward, neutral, but it might feel like it's forward, and then we're pressing forward. Good. And we're going to hold it here for a couple of breaths just to get that hip flexor a little bit activated or stretched. And one way to do that is just a slight squeeze of the glutes, just a little bit of a squeeze in the glutes, and that's going to release this top part of the thigh. Okay, so one thing I like to do is make sure my shoulders are relaxed as I do this. It's easy to come up like this. So relax the shoulders down, and then on an inhale, we're going to come up with our arm, reach up first, and then over. And you can either just look forward, you can look up at the hand, or down. It doesn't matter. Whatever feels right for you. Now, let's take that hand that's reaching up, we're going to take it back up, but don't bring it down, because we're going to twist and take the elbow to the outside of the leg and then into prayer twist. So now our palms are together, pushing together, and then we're going to continue to look and twist up to the ceiling. Okay, good. Now, we're going to come out of that. So we're still in our lunge. We're going to walk the foot forward just a little bit more and over slightly to the side so that we have room for our hands. And we're going to bring our hands right on the inside of the foot. And then we're going to just open up that front leg so that it gives us some space. And while you're here, if you want to move around a little bit, you're going to notice that it puts the stretch more kind of in the front of the leg, the inner thigh, but you might also feel it in the back leg too. And wherever you feel it is okay, as long as it doesn't hurt. So we're just going to hang out here and do some breathing. Okay, now before we go into pigeon pose, which we are going to do, we're going to come back up, and then we're going to stretch the hamstring. So we're going to come up and all the way back over onto that back leg and straightening the front leg. This is intense, so if it's a little bit too intense for you, then you don't have to do it. You can come back into the lunge and hang out, or you can stay in the lizard pose, what we were just in. This leg, if you can get it to straighten, do it. If not, that's okay, as much as you can. Let's just hold it here. I like to put my hands on each side of my leg. That might be a little bit too much too. You can put one hand on the thigh. Now we're going to come up out of this. So we're coming forward slightly, and then we're going to walk the foot over to the other side of the yoga mat and drop the knee into pigeon pose. And I'm going to push my pillow behind me. And so now we're in pigeon. So make sure that this back hip comes forward. And then once you're here, you can either hang out here, this is fine, or if you want to come down onto your elbows, that's a little bit more of a dramatic feel. So you might need to start out here, and that's okay. Now we're going to be here for a few more seconds, and I want you to make sure that you're not holding tension in your shoulders. So let's just do some movement and make sure the shoulders are relaxed. And also, while you're here, you can rock your hips a little bit and find out if there's any spots that need a little extra attention and hang out there. Okay, let's take a deep breath and exhale. And now we're going to get out of this, we're going to roll onto our side. It's really easy, just roll. Isn't that great? I love that. Okay, so now we're going to switch to the other side and do the same thing from the beginning. So the knee is on the pillow or on the yoga mat, and then we're going into the lunge position. So this is straight out from the hip, hips are forward, and then you're at about 90 degrees at your knee. So let's put our hands on our hips, make sure the hips are neutral, and then we're going to go forward until you just start to feel a stretch in your hip flexors, and then just a little bit of a squeeze in your glutes. And we'll hold it here and breathe. Shoulders are relaxed and abs are pulled in. Hopefully you can hear me. Okay, so we're going to inhale, and as we do, let's take our arm up, and then let's exhale and reach over. Okay, so now we're going into the prayer twist. So we're going to come back up and then twist so that the elbow goes on the outside of the leg, and then hands come together, and we're twisting to look up to this up to the ceiling, but you can also look forward, which really would be your side. Now we're going to come out of prayer twist, and then we're going to go into the lizard. So we're going to take that foot over slightly and open up so that we can put our hands on the inside of the leg. And remember, that front leg opens up, and it really gives some space in the inner thigh. Now the next pose we're going to do is the hamstring stretch back. So if that's a little bit much, you can stay where you're at and hang out. But if you want to, let's go ahead and go into that hamstring stretch. So we're coming back onto the back leg. And you don't have to sit on your heel. You're just coming back into it and feeling that hamstring stretch. It's pretty intense. So if you need to bend the knee, that's okay. And like I said before, I like to put my hands on both sides of my leg. So do that if possible. If not, one hand on the thigh, the inner hand, might be helpful. Let's take a breath and exhale. And then we're going to inhale and come out of that. And then we're going to walk that foot over to the other side of the yoga mat so that we can drop the knee into pigeon pose. So I'm going to push my pillow behind me. And then you can stay up like this, or you can drop onto your elbows. Whatever feels right. It's fine. And we'll hang out here for a while. And you do not have to be super flexible to do this. So if your hips are up off of the yoga mat, that's okay. Mine are too. We can still get a really good stretch out of this and really good benefit. So don't feel like you have to go really, really low into that. And even coming up like this is okay. So as long as you're feeling something and it feels good, it doesn't hurt, it's a good thing. Take a breath and exhale, and then we're going to take another breath and exhale, and then to get out of it, remember we're just going to roll nice and easy onto it, and then just keep going because we're going to lay on our back. And if you have your pillow handy and you want to use it for this next one, we're going to twist. We're going to lay down and twist, and I'm going to put the pillow in between my knees. It's more comfortable that way for me. So we're bringing our knees up off of the yoga mat, and then both sides over to, both knees over to one side, and then the opposite hand goes out to the side, palm facing up, and then if you want to, you can even look in the direction that your hand is. Now, if you want more time on the side, then just pause the video. Otherwise, let's go to the other side. So up and over, all the way over. And the opposite hand goes out to the side, palms facing up. And we're looking in the direction of our hand. Now, let's come out of that, and if you have your pillow and you want to use it to put it underneath your knees for a little bit, just more comfort, you can. If you don't have the pillow, that's fine too. We're just going to lay here at the end of every yoga session we do where we're laying in, some people call it corpse pose. I like to call it peace pose. So you're laying here, eyes closed, arms at your side, and we're just breathing. And I want you to think about relaxing your entire body and taking a very deep breath in Very slow exhale, letting all the air out. And you can hang out here for as long as you want to. We'll take a few breaths together. Thank you so much for doing yoga with me. I hope you feel wonderful after the yoga, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. Hang out here in this pose as long as you want to. Thank you.